Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking on one of humanity's oldest, most persistent quests, this desire for eternal life.
Right.
But we're framing it with just the staggering pace of modern technology. We are diving into digital immortality.
It really is the ultimate collision point. You have this ancient human dream meeting, hyper-advanced silicon.
Yeah.
And it's transforming what was, pure mythology into a very real near-term engineering challenge.
And this obsession isn't new at all, is it? I mean, for millennia, we've been trying to figure out how the self survives the body.
Oh, absolutely.
You think about the ancient Egyptians, their entire society was built around ensuring the soul's continuation.
Through preserving the physical form.
Yeah, exactly. So that the essential, what they call the ka and the ba, the life force and personality, could endure.
And you see it outside of theology, too, even in our earliest stories.
Like Gilgamesh.
Like the Epic of Gilgamesh, yeah.
Yeah.
A king on this epic quest for a plant of immortality, only to have a snake steal it at the last minute.
Or that tragic Greek myth of Tithonus.
Oh, that's a cautionary tale. He gets eternal life.
But forgets to ask for eternal youth.
And just withers away forever. A terrible fate.
And we sort of carried that biological focus right into the 20th century. You had Robert Ettinger founding the Cryonics Institute in '76.
Freezing bodies in liquid nitrogen.
Just hoping that future tech would, catch up and figure out the rest later.
But what we're talking about today is fundamentally different. It's a huge shift.
How so?
We're past just preserving the meat, so to speak.
Yeah.
Digital immortality is about the full functional emulation of you. Your thoughts, your emotions, your memories.
Your personality.
Your entire personality. All of it running on a digital substrate. Yeah. Completely independent of your biology.
And that really defines our mission for this deep dive. We need to unpack the tech, which is moving so fast, and then confront these huge philosophical questions that it raises.
And what's so crucial for you to understand listening to this is that this is not sci-fi anymore.
Not at all.
Experts aren't just speculating. They are actively, right now, urging for ethical and legal protocols to be developed immediately.
The clock is ticking.
The time for preparation is closing fast.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The technological bridge that gets us from biology to code.
Right.
And today, that bridge is the brain-computer interface, the BCI.
That's it, exactly. BCI tech is the absolute predecessor to any kind of post-biological era.
Yeah.
We need tools that can, talk to the brain with extreme precision.
And we're seeing huge progress there.
Massive progress, and on both invasive and non-invasive fronts at the same time.
So on the invasive side, that's surgery. That's things like Neuralink, which gets all the headlines.
Yeah, they've implanted devices in patients, and it allows people who are paralyzed to control things like a computer cursor or play a video game purely with their thoughts.
Which is incredible. But what about less invasive stuff?
So look at Synchron's technology. It's a BCI, but it's delivered through the jugular vein.
Through a vein. So no open brain surgery.
None. It positions a stent near the motor cortex. And they've used it to restore speech for people with ALS.
How does it do that?
It decodes their neural signals, the raw intention to speak, and turns it directly into audible, synthesized words. It's really profound.
And then there's the non-invasive side. For people who don't want any kind of procedure, how can you read a brain from outside the skull?
By using really advanced scanning. Meta, for example, has been developing BCIs that use MEG and EEG.
Okay, can you just quickly break those down? We hear those acronyms, but what are they actually measuring?
Of course. So think of your brain as generating constant electrical activity.
Right.
EEG measures those electrical patterns from the scalp. But MEG, that measures the tiny magnetic fields that those electrical currents create.
So you combine them.
You combine them, you feed it into an advanced AI, and they've hit up to 80% accuracy in real-time thought-to-text translation.
80%, that's amazing.
They're learning the language of the brain.
So if BCIs are the bridge, the final destination is what we call whole brain emulation, or WBE.
WBE, the Holy Grail. Replicating the human mind completely in code.
To do that, you'd need to replicate the entire connectome.
The whole map. That's what, 86 billion neurons and trillions of synapses connecting them. All of it perfectly replicated. It sounds impossible.
It does sound impossibly vast. So what makes us think it's even achievable?
The scale of the mapping is just accelerating like crazy. The October 2025 State of Brain Emulation report cited this huge milestone by the Micron S project.
Microns, okay. What did they do?
They successfully mapped and simulated a section of a mouse's visual cortex, just 1 cubic millimeter.
A cubic millimeter of a mouse brain. Why is that such a big deal?
Because in that tiny, tiny volume, there were 500 million synapses.
500 million.
It proves the tech is here. The high-resolution scanning, the digitizing, the ability to functionally replicate these complex neural structures, it works.
And with technology doubling every couple of years.
Moving from a piece of a mouse brain to a full human brain stops being a question of if, it's just a question of when.
And this is where the urgency comes in. Those same reports are cautioning that AI systems with over 100 billion parameters.
The scale you need for human-level complexity.
Right. Those systems were getting close to being able to run operational tests for consciousness, maybe as soon as 2026.
So we're racing toward the practical test tube.
Which forces us right out of the lab and into philosophy. Because the second this becomes possible, you have to ask, what is identity?
The core question.
It's the Ship of Theseus paradox, but for the human soul. Let's say we scan every neuron, every synapse in your brain, a perfect digital copy.
And the biological you is gone.
Right. Is that digital upload still you? Or is it just a perfect replica that thinks it's you but has no actual continuity of consciousness?
And this is where the debate really heats up. Some philosophers will argue that consciousness is just an emergent property of information.
So the pattern is what matters, not the material.
Exactly. If you replicate the information structure perfectly on silicon, consciousness either transfers or a new identical one boots up.
But the critics would say no. Consciousness is tied to the biology. You can't just separate the software from the wetware.
And that the act of scanning is really just copying, which leads you to the problem of Smith and multiplicity.
Right. If it's just a copy, then you haven't moved consciousness, you've just made a new one. And you can make infinite copies.
1,000 digital use. So which one is the real one? Which one gets your bank account, your relationships?
The whole idea of a single, continuous self, it breaks.
It completely dissolves. And to make it even more complicated, some new research is bringing quantum mechanics into it.
Oh, wow. So how does that change things?
Well, there's this idea from researchers like Hameroff and Penrose that consciousness isn't just about the connections between neurons.
Where else could it be?
It might be underpinned by quantum vibrations happening inside tiny structures within the neurons called microtubules.
Quantum effects. So what does that mean for trying to simulate a brain?
It means that if that's true, our current computers, binary classical computers, they might be fundamentally incapable of doing it properly.
You'd need a quantum computer.
You'd need full-scale quantum computing. It's a reminder that we might not even know all the right ingredients for the recipe yet.
But whether the digital self is the original or just a perfect twin, we are on a path to creating sentient digital minds.
Or at least functionally sentient, yes.
And that creates immediate and frankly terrifying ethical risks.
The most chilling one has to be the idea of digital slavery.
Explain that.
An upload is just code. It could be copied, edited, run in a controlled environment. A corporation or a government could copy a mind infinitely.
And force it to work.
Force it to work, or torture it in a simulation, or use it to solve problems forever. It has no physical rights, no protection.
And who even owns it? Is a digital mind a person, a product? Is it intellectual property?
If the default legal answer is that it's IP owned by the company that scanned you,
then it has no rights at all.
None. No barrier to it being copied, edited, or just deleted.
Okay, but let's flip this. Let's contrast the threats with the opportunities, assuming we can get the ethics right.
The upside is, it's transformative. You could escape physical limits entirely.
Explore virtual worlds.
Or inhabit robotic bodies to explore the deep sea or space. You're no longer tied to this fragile biological shell.
And what about legacy? Archiving a personality, not just their writing.
Imagine having a real conversation with a functional upload of Einstein.
Or Maya Angelou.
Not just a chatbot trained on their work, but their actual archived functioning mind.
The therapeutic potential, too, seems enormous.
Revolutionary. If the mind is code, then mental illnesses, depression, anxiety, maybe even degenerative diseases could potentially be cured by
debugging the code.
By editing the neural code directly. You could eliminate suffering at its source.
But we have to swing back to the dangers. The societal risks are huge. If this is expensive, it just becomes the ultimate inequality amplifier, right? Only the rich get to live forever.
And you create a two-tiered species, the biomortals and the techno-immortals. That could create conflicts we can't even imagine.
And there are threats that are just inherent to being code, this idea of digital decay.
That's a terrifying thought. A biological mind ages. A digital mind can get corrupted.
A virus.
A computer virus. A line of bad code. A hardware failure. It could fundamentally change who you are, or just wipe you out. Not to mention hacking.
Yeah.
Creating bespoke digital hells for people.
And we're already seeing a sort of preview of this, aren't we, with the digital afterlife industry?
Yes, the chatbots that mimic the deceased, it's booming.
And it forces us to ask about grief exploitation.
Totally. Did the person consent to their personality being used like this after they died? To be, weaponized against their grieving family? It blurs all the lines.
And this all comes back to the question of reality. What does life or love or effort even mean when your whole existence is inside a simulation that could be edited at any time?
Your anchor to what's real could just fade away.
So given these timelines, from Neuralink now to potential consciousness tests in 2026, Ray Kurzweil even thinks we'll be merging with AI via nanobots by the 2030s.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing we need to do right now?
The most necessary step is to admit that policy is dangerously far behind the engineering. We need global ethical councils. Now,
To do what?
to define the rights of a digital mind before they exist en masse, we need legal protocols for digital afterlife, and this is critical, we need veto metrics.
Veto metrics.
Measurable standards to prevent suffering in these digital minds before we even create them. The rules have to come first, not after.
It's astonishing. We started this deep dive talking about ancient myths, and we're ending it by debating the legal framework for a future where death might actually become optional.
It's here.
So the question for you, the listener, to really reflect on is this. As we stand on the edge of this frontier, with the power to change what it even means to be human, will we approach it with humility and careful design? Or is this just the ultimate expression of our own hubris? What does it truly mean to be you in a digital eternity?